Hey, how's it going? If you're a teacher in Texas, of any subject, any content area at all, you are well aware of the TEKS, or at least I hope you are. The TEKS are set out by our Texas Education Agency, TEKS. It stands for Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, and it's set of standards you're supposed to be teaching at each individual grade level for each individual subject. But man, when you pull those things up, if you even know where to find them, they're kind of hard to get a grasp on. It's pages and pages and pages of text, especially as an art teacher. We look at that, and in all honesty, just by our nature, maybe just kind of reject it. It's like reading the fine print of a legal contract. It's really hard to understand, and yet I know that what's inside of those is important for us as teachers. We need to have those in our classrooms. When we were writing our new art curriculum for Garland ISD, we knew that we had to dig deep into those TEKS and get a good understanding of what the state requires, so we can at least meet that, and then, in all probability, go above and beyond that, because that's just who we are. I really had to find a process for dissecting these TEKS to get a great understanding of how they vertically align from K through 5th grade at the elementary school, and how those 6 grades built upon prior knowledge. And at the end of that 5th grade year, I wanted to know what our students were supposed to have, so they could then pass that on to our middle school level and show up there ready to go and just build upon that. So it took some work, but I wanted to share with you today how I really physically dissected the TEKS and got a really good understanding on our state requirements for elementary art. When we're talking about the TEKS for elementary art, sometimes it may be a little unclear where to actually find those. So I'm going to show you. It's simply on the TEA website. You can just simply Google TEA and it should pull up first choice, yeah, right here, Texas Education Agency. So right there, we click on that, it's going to take us into the TEA homepage, and you can actually find a whole lot of great information on this homepage. If we move our mouse up to academics and just hover over it, we don't have to click, just hover over it, this sub-menu pops up and we can scroll down to TEKS, Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. Click on that right there, and it's going to take us in to the page where we get some more information. Looking here, Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills by chapter, you'll notice looking down English, Math, Science, Social Studies, Language, Health, Physical Education, and chapter 117 is us, Fine Arts. Let's open that up. And it takes us here, but then begins to break down chapter 117 into subchapters. Subchapter A, Elementary, B, Middle School, and C is High School. Let's scroll back up to subchapter A, and this is the latest version, of course, adopted in 2013. Within chapter 117, subchapter A, all of the numbers ending in .100 are elementary. If you look at middle school, you'll see .200 numbers, and of course high school .300. They are laid out in the following order. There is the general statement, chapter 117, subchapter A, 101, and then starting at 102, we've got art for kindergarten, then music theater, art for first, music theater, art for second, music theater, and so on and so forth. Clicking here on this title will open up the actual TEKS itself. And what we've got here looks like some kind of legal jargon contract, which honestly is very unappealing to me and very hard to read. It's very hard for me to even pay attention to this, but I know that within here are nuggets of great information that we must understand and glean from in order to pass this required knowledge along to our students. So one thing that we can always do is to simply go here to our first section that applies to us, 117.102 Art Kindergarten, and just simply drag our cursor over this, highlight all of our kindergarten art TEKS down to the bottom legal statement here, stop when we get to music. Up here I'm going to right click and copy. I'm simply going to open a Word document, click in there and paste. Bloop. Does a good job. It actually does a good job of formatting that. It's still a lot to look at, and this, folks, is just kindergarten. So yeah, if you spend a little bit of time on the computer pulling the information, only the information you need into one document, and even printing that out, you're going to have a 12-point font. You're going to have a 12 to 15 page document, depending on how you size that. And I printed those out on 11 by 17 big posters, and I printed them out small, so all of one grade fit on one page. And I was still having a hard time flipping back and forth and getting a good grasp on that. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to physically attack this. So even when I have all of my TEKS printed out, copied and pasted into a Word document, it's hard to review them side by side and to see how one grade relates to the other grade without flipping back and forth between pages. I've printed them small, I've printed them large, so I decided I just need some tape and scissors, because it's time to dissect these things. I mean, really dissect them. I physically cut them with scissors, and I use tape to attach them together, because it's important to understand that the TEKS are created in such a way that there's a pattern, there is a method to the madness, and when you begin to lay them out, you begin to see how each grade follows this pattern and relates to each other, and that is important. After taping them together, I wanted to see how things changed from grade to grade. So what I did was I used a green highlighter, and every time something new showed up at a grade level, I highlighted that in green. And anytime something was repeated from the previous level, I simply marked that out with a Sharpie to maybe kind of help reduce all of this text overload and give me a better understanding of what needed to be done at the elementary level. And I began to see as I went through this process that it was going to make a lot of sense to me, noticing how what I do at kindergarten should be built upon at first grade, added to at second grade, and then expanded in third, fourth, and fifth. When I laid them all out together, I could see there was a definite pattern here. To make it even better, I actually went out and cut out all of the blacked out areas and reduced it even further so that all I had left was just the basic instructions and then what we added at each level, and it became much more manageable. This process gave me personally, as an individual, a great grasp on what the state was requiring at elementary level. And you know what? When I was able to look at it in this way, it made a whole lot more sense to me, instead of just page after page after page of repetitive text. And for me to truly get a great understanding, I had to do something visually. I'm going to share that with you too. There are some links over here to the individual videos of how I wanted to visually present what these TEKS worked. And I tell you what, it really speaks to me. If you're fine with the page of text, good, you go for that. I'm not, and I had to do it this way. I hope it's somewhat helpful to you.